you do that. Because today I want to share something with you that is a powerful lesson, a powerful insight that I know has made many tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, and maybe even millions of dollars for some of my clients, and I know for sure has saved some of them for that. So that's what I'm going to be sharing with you today. That's what we're going to be getting into, okay? So before we do that, let me just tell you who I am in case you're just joining us. My name is Dov Barron. I'm the founder of FullMontyLeadership.com. I write for Entrepreneur Magazine, Thrive Global, which is Arianna Huffington's outlet, and a whole bunch of other outlets. You can see me on the CNN site and a bunch of other great sites. Just Google Dov Barron, D-O-V-B-A-R-O-N. And of course, make sure that you come over to iTunes, rate, review, and subscribe to my show. It is the #1 podcast globally for Fortune 500 listeners, and Inc. made our show the #1 podcast to listen to if you want to be a better leader. Dov Barron Leadership and Loyalty Show. That's where that is. There's all kinds of places to find out about me, and of course, that we have the Matrix Self-Assessment Leadership Test, which is great. Get yourself over to Matrix, like the movie, FullMontyLeadership.com. All right, let's jump in. You know, one of the things that I want you to grasp is, I think most of you know that I speak all over the world. I'm an international speaker. Again, very blessed that Inc. magazine made me one of the top 100 leadership speakers to hire in the world, along with people like Richard Branson, so that was pretty awesome. So I speak all over the world, and as a result, I work with clients who are high-level executives, leaders in all kinds of ways, people who are at the top of their game, who want to be, they want something else. You know, they have this sense that, okay, I've made the money, I've got another level of success, but what is next? What is that thing that's missing? So we help our clients, we work with our clients and our clients' teams in going from success to significance to influence, and then on to deep fulfillment through purpose. So we're about building a purpose-driven organization through purpose-driven leaders and purpose-driven leadership. So I tell you that because I want you to have a little bit of context here for some of the things that I share with you. If you look on this channel, you'll see that I share with you a lot of tools that I share with my $100,000 clients. These are clients who happily pay me every year, annually, in excess of $100,000 to serve them, to assist them to get to that next level. And this really is an example of where soft skills are a hard bottom line, where they make all the difference in the world. So I want to talk to you about price versus value. In the world of commodities, which we all know about today, in the world of commodities, everything has a price. And what's more is there's always competition on the price. Right? So whatever it is you're selling it out, somebody else can probably undersell you. And again, if you're coming on, just wave and say hello. Good to see Lisa just joined us. Thank you for joining us, Lisa. So in this world, like, we've got this commodity-based environment, and I think it's stronger than ever with the internet, because now everybody can compete with everybody. So, you know, we got the small independent retailer or small independent provider who can compete with the big names. It's changed dramatically from what it was. So my best advice to you, and the advice that I would give to one of my high-level clients, is you cannot ever compete on price, because they will always undercut you, whoever they are. You know, maybe you're a coach and you're going, well, you know, I'm charging $100, but the guy down the street's charging $80, and then the other guy says, well, the $80 guy says, well, I know somebody who's charging $50, I better lower my prices. Meanwhile, there are coaches who are charging tens, even hundreds of thousands of dollars. Tony Robbins charges $1 million a year to be your coach. Now, what's the difference? We're all coaches. We're all doing the coaching, mentoring, guiding, consulting things. So what's the difference? And the reason I wanted to talk to you about this was today. Now, I should give you a little clarity here in that I am so not Mr. Fix-It. I don't hang paintings or build shelves or any of those kinds of things because I'm crap at it. I'm not good at it. My wife does it, and if it's not her, then we usually bring somebody in to do it. I did it years ago and I was really bad at it. However, by some stroke of whatever it was, I found myself on a website and it was showing toolkits, you know, boxes of tools, you know, your wrenches and your screwdrivers and all these little bits and bobs that you had used for building or fixing things. And I saw that you could pick up a set of tools at Walmart for about 30 to 100 bucks for what appeared to be a decent set. But right next to that on this page was also a set of tools that were $30,000. $30,000. Now there's a set of tools for 30 bucks, or maybe let's just go to the upper end, 70, 80 bucks, versus a set of tools that were $30,000. Now, somebody who's thinking price will say, they're both toolkits, what's the difference? Somebody who understands value would look at it from a very different place than just that price. They would understand that what that second set of tools is made from, how it's made, how it's put together, is likely to be very different than the cheap set. Now, here's the key that I want you to grasp here, is if somebody doesn't understand the value of something, it isn't worth anything. You see, there are a lot of things in your life that you maybe in the past said, that's not worth it, that's too much, that's too expensive, I can't afford that, I'm not going to do that, whatever it was. That later in your life, maybe today, you're in a bit of better financial situation and you go, absolutely, it's worth it. So what is the difference? What's the difference? Well, you could say the difference is that today I can afford it and I couldn't afford it before. That is a point, but it's not the point. The difference is in recognizing value over price. I've done a video before where I talked about the 3 excuses everybody has. And one of those excuses, one of those 3 excuses, you can go look that up on YouTube. But one of those excuses is, I can't afford it. I don't have the money. And my question to that is always the same, which is, have you done things you couldn't afford? Have you bought things you couldn't afford? I know I have. So what made you buy something you couldn't afford? What was it made you decide to spend that money that you, quote, didn't have? The obvious answer is you saw a ton of value in the thing that you were likely to purchase. For whatever the reason was, your desire was strong enough, was high enough for you to want that thing. For instance, if you've had a provider for something that you've done and you went cheap, I've done this, believe me, I've done this, so no judgment on anybody. I've used people who were cheap, and sometimes that you can find somebody who's golden. They're cheap, they're reasonably priced, and they're spectacular. But a lot of the time, the people who are lower priced have less experience, they know less about what they're doing. You know, they are in their own way struggling too. And I've used those people because I was focused on price. And because I didn't seem to have enough money, and I would, oh, okay, so I pay out this low fee to have something done, and then find that, you know what, it's a little ways down the road, and I paid them whatever I paid them, which wasn't maybe a ton of money, but it was probably quite a bit of money for me at the time, only to discover that in the not too distant future from the time I had it done, I had to hire somebody else to redo the same work. Why? Because I went cheap on the front end. Going cheap on the front end is likely to get you minimal or at best moderate results, and not going to get you the kinds of results that you're actually looking for in your life. Is this making sense to you? So there is a great deal of difference between price and value. So coming back to that tool set that I talked to you about, you might say, well, I need a set of tools, and this set of tools is 80 bucks. Great. And you go, I'd like to buy the $30,000 set of tools, but I can't afford those. Okay, no problem. You're going to buy whatever you can afford. I understand that. But how much does it matter to you? That's what counts. So here's where it gets into this point of distinction, is this. if you are a high-level tradesperson, you're a high-skilled tradesperson, are you likely to purchase a $80 set of tools? Absolutely not. Because that set of tools is a reflection of your skills and your abilities. Now, the fact is that other people might look at it and judge it and go, that's a crazy price to pay. But you hold yourself in such high esteem. You hold your skills, your abilities, your talent in such high esteem. Of course, you need the best tools to do the best job. So if you're going to offer something, you have to first of all look at what is the quality of the work that I do? What is the quality of the thing that I offer? Taking a look at what that is, and don't underprice your value. This is a great lesson for all of us. Don't underprice your value. I'll give you a great example. Several years ago, one of my clients that I was working with, had been working with as a long-term client for several years. My clients will often ask me, is it okay for me to recommend somebody to you? And the answer is always yes. It's always okay. It doesn't mean I'll take them on. Everybody I work with, I pre-interview, and they, generally speaking, pay for that time for me to just have the initial conversation. And usually they get a ton out of just even the initial conversation. I give a lot of value even in that initial conversation to find out whether there's a fit, to find out whether I can really serve them or not. So this client of mine had recommended somebody to me and wanted to know if it was okay. Yes. So this person makes an appointment. They paid for the hour, and that's what, we're going to have this initial hour to find out if there's a fit. So this guy sits down, we start talking, and we're probably, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes in. And he, like I said, he's paid for the hour. And I suddenly look over him and I go, I got to tell you, we're done here. And he's like, what do you mean we're done? And I said, this session's over. And he says, I've paid for an hour. And he's quite indignant. I've paid for an hour. This, we haven't even been here. I think it was like, what I said, 25 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it was. I know it was a lot less than he'd paid for. And I said, yeah, I know. But our time's up. And he goes, I don't understand. I paid for an hour and I think I should get an hour. I said, okay, we can sit here and talk about whatever you want. But what I just want you to know is we're not going to be moving forward. And he goes, what do you mean? I said, well, you come in here to ask me to find out if I will mentor you, if I will coach you, if I will guide you, if I will consult with you in getting your life to the next level. Is that correct? And he goes, yes. And I said, do you want that? And he says, yes. I said, do you really? I mean, honestly, do you really? And he said, yeah. I said, I'm not convinced that that's the truth. And he goes, well, what do you mean? I said, I'm not going to be working with you. So I just want to be clear so I'm not trying to lead you on. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be rude. I just want you to know this is not going to happen. So he says, well, why not? And I sort of leaned forward and I said to him, I have some bad news for you. And he says, what? I said, you can't afford me. I can't afford you. Quite indignant. I can't afford you. What do you mean I can't afford you? Do you know how much money I have? He says. Now the truth is I did know how much money he had because the client had told me, this guy is pretty close to a billionaire. Not quite there, but damn close. And certainly a lot closer than I was or am to a billionaire. And I said, you can't afford me. And he says, well, do you know how much money I have? Yeah, I do. He goes, how much do you think I have? And I said, well, I know. And I told him who had told me. I said, I know you're very wealthy. And he said, well, what do you mean I can't afford you? I said, you can't. And he said, well, why would you say that? I said, because you understand the price of everything, but you don't understand the value of anything. And this guy looks at me and he's pissed. And I said, look, I'm not being rude. It's not my intention to be rude. I just know that the people I work with are deeply committed, want to get there, want to do what it takes to get there, want to feel that heart and soul and depth of connection to what it is that they're doing. They don't want to be in battle with me. They look at me as, if you will, as their Sherpa to help them climb up the mountain of their own enlightenment, of their own clarity, of their own focus to find that place on the top of the mountain that is their soul. And he says, I just don't understand what the problem is. And I said, listen, let me just walk you through it and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. So this guy's sitting in front of me. Now, remember, the only thing I know about this guy is about how much money he has. But I've spent about a half an hour with him. And because of my skills, my ability, because my toolkit is a multi-million-dollar toolkit that I've invested in at around $60K a year to keep in the highest level of maintenance, the highest possible level I can. I'm always upgrading my skills. So I lean in and I say, listen, tell me if I'm wrong. And he goes, okay. I said, you live in West Vancouver, which is the most expensive property in Canada, for those of you who don't know. And he goes, uh-huh. I said, your house is on a hill, but the front door is at the top, and you walk down into the house. He's like, okay. When you get in the house, there is probably a big double door that opens up double wide. He goes, okay. And when you open that door, there is a massive chandelier hanging. Now he's looking at me and he's going like, you know, I'm sure he's thinking I'm psychic Sue or something. So there's a big chandelier. He goes, yeah. And I said, and if you look to, I said, I'm not sure if it's the right or the left, but one of those sides, there is what I call your showroom. And he goes, showroom? What do you mean? I said, this is the room that if I was a guest coming to your house, if I was somebody who was meeting you at your home, this is the room you would take me into. It's your showroom. It's the room you use to show off your home and essentially your wealth. Now the guy's gone a bit, you know, he's gone a bit gray looking. And I said, and I'll tell you more about your house in a minute, but I said, you drive either a top-of-the-line Mercedes or something very similar, but it's not a car anybody else can buy. It's a car that you have to order. It's a special order. And he's like, okay. I said, now when we walk out of the showroom in your house, I said, there's a couple of steps down into a part of the house that most people who walk in won't actually even know is there. And he's, I said, when you get in that part of the house, I said, that part of the house has a separate kitchen from the main house. I said, you've got family members living in there. Probably maybe a mom, dad, but certainly maybe siblings or something. But there's definitely at least one other family living in that house. I said, and the furniture in that area is second-hand, even though you can fully afford to put new furniture in. And he just looks at me and he goes, how do you know that? I said, because you're still poor. You got a ton of money, but you're still poor. You know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. This work that I do, it's not about status. If you want to brag about the fact that you spend all this money to work with me, you go right ahead. You know, if I was working with you, you could go right ahead and do that. But immediately I know that that's what you're actually doing. We're going to start working together. I'm going to end up firing you. Because this is not about status. This is about your heart and your soul. I said, I honestly don't care. I respect how successful you've been. I respect everything you've done to create the kind of success that you've had. But I don't care about it. I care about you. I care about your heart. I care about your soul. I care about who you are at your essence. I said, so we won't be working together. And honestly, he looked like I'd slapped him upside the head with a cod. Just looked completely gobsmacked. Didn't argue with me anymore. Quietly got up and left. If we don't understand value over price, we're always only looking at price. We don't get it. That set of tools that's 80 bucks is worth 80 bucks to the person who wants to pay 80 bucks. The set of tools that is $30,000 is worth $30,000 to a craftsman who understands that. And what you've got to decide in your life, in your business, in what it is you're doing, what is your price, what is your value. And what I would suggest to you is, even if you adjust your price, never, ever adjust your value. recognize your value. Trade on your value, not on your price. If you trade on your price, you're in competition with everybody else. And someone's multiple can always and will always undercut you. And the problem with it is, when you start doing that, you devalue yourself. Hold your value. And sometimes, I get it, sometimes that is tough to do. Sometimes you're going through financial struggles, been there. Sometimes, you know, the money's not rolling in as much as you'd like it to, been there. And you want to lower the price to try and get a little more business. But immediately you do, you're going to undercut the value that others see in you. If you don't see the value in you, why should anybody else? So that's my lesson to you. That's my I'm going to call it my $10,000 lesson today, because that would often be part of it, as I said, part of the training I'll do with an individual who hires me on an annual basis, because they understand value, not price. And people will come to me and often say, I really wish I could work with you. And I understand that. And sometimes they do work with me. Sometimes they make it happen. But the thing is that you will only spend money on that which you make important and which you make valuable. So let me just finish off by helping you to grasp this a little deeper. Right now in your mind, or on a piece of paper, I want you to come up with the 5 things you value most. Can you do that? Say them out loud, or even type them in the comments. The 5 things that you value most, whatever they are. Type them in, put them in the comments. If you're watching this on Encore, or whether you're watching this live, put those in. The 5 things you value most, whatever they are. You decide. Not my call, your call. Whatever it is you value the most. Write them down, put them in. Whether you're writing them on a piece of paper, whether you're writing them in the comments here as we do this, or you're writing them on Encore, that's okay, put them in. State them, state your values, the things that matter most to you in life. What you tell me, this matters to me more than anything does. Whether that is your family, whether it's health, whether it's status, whatever it is. I'm not here to judge it. You can put whatever it is you want. I'm good with whatever it is you want. Write down the 5 most important things to you. What is the most valuable things to you? Get those 5 things totally clear. Right? Got them? Now let me ask you this question. What percentage of your time do you spend on each of those things? So for instance, if you put, a very high value for me is health, how much time do you put into your health? How much time do you put into preparing really healthy meals for yourself? How much time do you take each day to exercise? How much time do you take to be mentally healthy, emotionally healthy, spiritually healthy, physically healthy? If you used health, I'm using this as an example, ask yourself, how much time do I put into that? If you put family, how much time do you put into that? Now, by the way, let me just get clear. When I say how much time you put in, I'm not talking just about tick-tock, tick-tock, tick-tock on the clock. I'm also talking about being present with. So if you put down family and you say, well, you know, I spend 2 hours a night with my kids, and my question to that is, do you? I mean, I know you're there, I know you're in front of your kids, but are you present with them? That's your value. Because if you're there, but you're on your phone clicking through, or you're on your iPad and you're not actually with that kid, don't tell me that family matters. Because your primary relationship is with your social media. Your primary relationship is with your phone. Your primary relationship is with strangers somewhere else. And again, I'm not judging this. I'm not telling you it's wrong. I'm just telling you to get clear so that you're not fooling yourself. Because wherever you place your highest value, so not just the 5 values you wrote down, but the way you invest in those values, the time you put into them, the presence you put into them, is where you will hold the most value. So if you say, the most valuable thing to me, and you're really honest with yourself and you say, is fame, and you're putting in 60 hours a week and doing things that will make you famous, then I go, okay, that's aligned. Now if I come along and I say, listen, do you want to lift your brand up? And you go, yeah. And I go, do you want to be more seen? And you go, yeah. I go, do you want to get a bigger following on social media? You go, yeah. I go, do you want to be recognized in the street? You go, yeah. And I go, okay, if I can say I can offer you a program that will upgrade your fame, upgrade your face, let you not be known, be seen in the world even more, that is going to be something that's of value to you. But if you're bullshitting yourself and saying, well, it's not that, it's something else, then you won't value it. So get clear about what your 5 highest values are. Get clear about how much time you're spending on each of those things that you say are high values to you. And then look at investing, not spending. Because this is, again, we're now away from the price versus the value. Then you get to what you're actually investing in. So as I said, I spend about $60K a year on my education, and people often say to me, Dov, you know, how much more do you need to know? I need to upgrade my skills. I need to always be at the top of my game because I work with people who are at the top of their game. I want to constantly keep it right at the top. That's why I invest in that. That's where the value is. Does that make sense to you? So let's hear your feedback. Let's see what you've got to say. I'm gonna look at your comments in a minute, but I just want you to grasp this. Price versus value makes all the difference in the world. It will change the way you see the world. It will change the way the world sees you. It is your potential for making millions of dollars. It is your potential for saving millions of dollars. Get focused on the difference between price and value. If you choose price, you will always get a lower grade. Choose value, you'll get a higher quality, not only product, not only service, but quality of life. This is Dov Baron, FullMontyLeadership.com, saying stay curious, my friend, stay curious about where you are choosing price over value and where you really need to look to upgrade the quality of your life and the quality of your business. Remember to get yourself over to matrix.fullmontyleadership.com to get your self-assessment leadership test. It's absolutely free to you for being a viewer and a listener to the show. Instead of $197, you get it free. Okay, matrix.fullmontyleadership.com. And by the way, you can also get my new e-course by simply going over to Dov Baron Leadership on Facebook, or if you just simply put in the comments here the word course, we will send you a link that'll give you $50. Yep, you get $50 off the course from us just for being a viewer on here. And if you want, we would love it if you actually go over to YouTube, or if you're on YouTube right now, and subscribe to the show and subscribe to the channel. That will also get you the $50 off. We really appreciate that. All right, let's have a look at what your comments